Hey guys, Rob here from D&D Toy Reviews, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Zeta Toys Superitron-Mini ZC01 Downthrust. So to start, let's take a look at his accessories. So in the box we get some very nice color instructions, and we get a couple of pistols, and that's about it. The pistols are done up in just plain black plastic, no paint, but they've got a little bit of sculpted detail on there. They look pretty good. They just plug right into his hand. Now the fit is a little bit tight. It can be a little difficult getting them in there. And even though the plastic is pretty tough, because it's such a tight fit and the pegs are, a little on the thin side due to their size, and there goes one pistol. It's a little bit concerning that somewhere down the road, if you're putting just the wrong amount of pressure at the wrong angle, it might snap off in the hand. So that's something to keep an eye on, and it's quite difficult to get them back out. And so, that's it for accessories. Let's move on to Articulation! So for a legend-sized figure, they're pretty well articulated. Starting at the head, we have a ball joint for the head, which lets us get all kinds of movement going on. We have hinged shoulders that go all the way out to the side, all the way around, and that's just a swivel disc for the shoulder. We get a bicep swivel, a single jointed elbow that lets us get just shy of 90 degrees, and the hands hinge in and out, but that's more for the transformation than anything else. We do get a waist swivel, but at a certain point the legs might start banging into the hinge for the jet kibble, but you still get a decent amount of range. We have ball joints at the hip, hinge joints at the hip. You can see there, it's just a hinge, not a ball, my mistake. Lets us go all the way out to the side, go forward pretty far, and back until we hit the jet kibble. We get a thigh swivel. We get a single jointed knee that lets us get pretty much 90 degrees. And then the feet are on a ball and get a good amount of range, but the ball is slightly loose, but the figure itself tends to be pretty solid when you're standing it up. So that's it for articulation. To give you a sense of size, here he is next to the War for Cybertron Kingdom Core class Optimus Prime. Well, obviously they're not meant to go with this particular line, but from what I've seen, they look like they should scale pretty well with the New Age line of Transformers. And looking at the paint for a second, we can see some orange paint on the face with some painted blue eyes. Now there is light piping in the back, but with that paint on the eyes, the light piping doesn't really come through, so it's kind of a weird choice. We get some red on the chest, red on the waist, a dark silvery gray on the arm, same on the legs, and then some painted detail for the jet that we'll take a look at in a minute. And so let's move on to transformation. Okay, so the transformation pretty much follows their larger masterpiece version with just a few simplified steps. So we're going to start with tucking the head in. We fold it forward, flip the head back, close that up again. Flip in the hand and then collapse the arms. Same on the other side. Fold them out to the side and then push down at the shoulder, and those will just tuck nicely into the torso like that. We're going to come around to the jet kibble and separate it. which can be a little difficult, and you might want to watch the the tip of the fin here because it is quite sharp and you can stab yourself on it. We'll just get this up and out of the way for now. We'll get this up and out of the way while we do the legs. And so similar to the Masterpiece version, we're going to lift this flap up so we can get the foot around and up into that space. Same over here. And then we can collapse up the legs. Like so. And before we peg them together, we want to bring this jet kibble down, otherwise it's not going to sit under the top of the jet. And this part is kind of just, you know, working things around each other. It gets a bit messy. So we got to get that black spine under these gray bits and keep the jet bit up like so. And then we can just plug those in. You can see there's a round plug here with a port there. Those just plug in there. We can squeeze the legs together. Bring the jet kibble, the jet booster down, sorry. And that will just plug in. There's a tab there and a slot there. They just plug in on top, like so. And we can get the wings unfolded, swivel around. You can see on the wing there, there's a little tab that's going to go into a slot right there to hold it in place. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Fold the wing out, swivel it around, tab it in place. Done. Flip the rear fins out. And then, somewhat different to the Masterpiece version, this bit folds around and fills in that gap that was left there in jet mode. And then for the nose cone, we just bring it down. These tabs here will go into this slot. Just lock it in place. Oops. And close up the intake. And we're done. There's the jet mode. And the jet mode itself looks pretty good. It can be a bit gappy along the sides here. Sometimes things don't like to plug in or stay plugged in. And this folding bit doesn't really fill in the gap completely. But for a Legend scale jet, it's not bad. I mean, it's basically a downsized version of their Masterpiece. So you've got the same giant block underneath the jet mode that the Masterpiece has, but we've got a bit of a different deco. So we've got the lightning bolts like the G1. It's a nice metallic blue paint on the tail fin. The cockpit does open, but there's not really much of anything in there. And we have some molded in landing gear on the sides, and then a little one at the front here, so you can rest it down no problem. And that's pretty much it. It's a very nice looking F-16 in the Legend scale, and does the job quite nicely.